All right, continuing on after we discussed guerrilla warfare. So remember, No Din Diem was a capitalist. He did not win the 1956 elections, even though he's part of South Vietnam. Remember, South Vietnam was not a democracy. Even though he was capitalist, Diem was a dictator. In 1963, he was overthrown and murdered. So, what does that say about the issue that's going in Vietnam if one of the highest level leaders is assassinated? All right, as a reminder, back to our policy of containment. You have seen this slide before and we have talked about it. It is the United States' policy to keep communism from spreading beyond the countries where it already exists. Typically, in American history, we are really bad at enforcing our policies. We have policies on paper, but we do not enforce them when it's time to take action. We're a little bit better at that in the 1950s and 60s, but our guiding policy is containment. We don't want communism to spread. Communism exists in North Vietnam, and we do not want it to spread in the South. So that is going to guide our policies in Asia. That's where we have the domino theory that comes into play. So think about when you're a kid and you would play with dominoes. As a little kid, I would love to stack up all my dominoes in a humongous long line. Well, once I have my dominoes lined up, I'm going to knock one over. If I knock over one domino, there goes that whole long line of dominoes. That was really cool when I was ready to knock them over, but if my brother or sister came and they knocked my dominoes over, I'd be really mad. This is what the domino theory is like in US history. This is the belief that if South Vietnam was to fall to communism, then neighboring countries would soon follow. So let's look at this picture here. You have the Viet Cong, which remember the Viet Cong are the southern Vietnamese communists, and they are trying to knock over Vietnam and make a communist. Well, if they knock over Vietnam, there goes Laos, there goes Cambodia, there goes Thailand, there goes Burma, there goes India, and there goes Bangladesh. And just like that, because one country fell to communism, all of Asia falls to communism as well. And there's the soldier that's trying to keep the dominoes upright to make sure that they don't fall. This is why the United States gets involved. We get involved in order to stop communism from spreading. We use the word Indochina here. Indochina is just another word for Vietnam, so keep that in mind. So Viet Cong are trying to knock Vietnam over. We try to stop it to contain communism. That is the domino theory. Our question is, could South Vietnam be an example? John F. Kennedy, who's our president at the time, sent aid and U.S. military advisors to assist South Vietnam in fighting the Viet Cong. So we're trying to help South Vietnam and give them everything that they need in order to be successful in staying capitalist and having democracy and not falling to communists. Kennedy felt that a successful democracy in South Vietnam might serve as a model for other developing countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So this is kind of like the reverse domino theory, that if we're able to help Vietnam out and they're able to do well, then maybe other countries can follow that example. And this is going to be our guiding light as we try to facilitate containment in Asia. So there's going to be some issues in Vietnam as we go into more of a war setting. The Vietnam War is one of the instances where the Cold War turns hot. So let's talk about trouble at the Gulf of Tonkin. The Gulf of Tonkin is here on your map. It is on the coast of North Vietnam. There are going to be U.S. ships here in international waters. In 1964, the North Vietnamese attacked U.S. ships in international water in the Gulf of Tonkin. Now, the question is, what does the U.S. do when someone messes with us? Y'all usually know. Usually we take action. So here is we create something called the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. Congress gave the president, who at the time is Lyndon B. Johnson, because this is after JFK's assassination, the power to intervene in Indochina or Vietnam without a formal declaration of war. So this allows us to get involved in Vietnam militarily if we want to, without formally declaring war. That is called the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. Make sure you know that, and you'll watch a video about that in the next section.